Hello everyone, welcome to Knittings and Sewings, episode 31. Walter and I are coming to you from the Kansas City area, and we do all things related to the fiber arts, including knitting, spinning, weaving, sewing, crochet. We do a whole full gamut of things at any given time. And so anyway, I wanted to welcome you here. If you are a returning member, I also am welcoming anybody new who's been newly found our channel. Please let me know how you found out about us. Be sure to like and subscribe if you find this something of interest to you, because it always helps grow the channel and we appreciate that. My dog Walter here joins me, and he's a little bit hot today. We're having a very, very warm day here in June. We're finally getting our first brush of really warm weather. And I, as you may notice, am wearing a summer top that I made myself. I did it with a rigid Heddle loom, and this is actually called Ripped for Summer. I made this myself by doing a mannequin design after making the fabric on my 24-inch rigid Heddle loom. I used my Kromsky Heart for that. And so anyway, I will tell you a little bit more detail about that in just a moment. But let's begin by telling you what those things will be. First of all, we're going to talk about the top I'm wearing, Ripped for Summer, which I made back in 2016. It's one of my earliest sewing efforts from when I was started weaving. And so we'll be covering that. I'll be telling you how I did it, a little story about it. And then next, we will be talking about some things that are going to be coming up in the near future in terms of two events or two things to start planning for some of you who are planning or planners. The first is going to be the Tour de Fleece that is coming up this summer. And then the second thing is going to be starting to plan for Advent, whether you do Advent knitting or buy some Advent kits or any of that. We'll be talking a little bit about that. We are also going to talk about two different tank tops that I have started recently. One is a crocheted tank top and the other is a knitted version of two different patterns. So we'll be covering those. And I also will be talking to you about or revisiting a finished object, which is one I made for Walter, and it was made on my Inkle loom, the dog leash that I started several episodes ago, and I kind of have let it languish and just worked on it every now and then. We'll be also showing you how it's taken off the loom and putting it into the hardware to make it a dog leash. So we'll cover that. Now I'd like to share with you a little information about the top that I'm wearing. It's called Ripped for Summer. And I designed and sewed this top and wove the fabric on my rigid Heddle loom. It was a design that it was kind of a funny happenstance of how it developed. I was going to meet my hero, Anita Luvera Mayer, who is a fabric artist that created a lovely DVD instruction called Creative Cloth. And years ago, back in 2014, when my grandmother was still alive, I shared that DVD with her. We watched the two DVDs together in her apartment, and she was really ill at that time and not doing well, but she drew a lot of inspiration, and we enjoyed watching the DVD together. And she continued to watch and rewatch it the whole time, even when she was in hospice. So she really loved Anita, and the idea of the way that Anita created her own wardrobe inspired both of us. My grandmother said she wished she'd seen that years ago, and she might have been inspired to turn some of her own weaving into garments. But at any rate, she encouraged me to do that. So when I heard that in 2016 Anita Luvera Mayer was going to be coming to the KAWS conference, which is the Kansas Alliance of Weavers and Spinners, I was really excited and wanted to create a garment that I could wear as I went to her workshop, and that I could, could kind of symbolize all that I enjoyed most about Anita's work, which is Anita's known for embellishing, not only weaving, but embellishing her work. and that's part of the fun of it. She's a very artsy, artistic designer. And so I decided to, warp. First I went out and bought some, I love this cotton in a lime color from Hobby Lobby, and I bought 8 balls of it so I'd have enough to make a top, and I warped it up, started for both the fabric, the warp and the weft. I was going to make this fabric, which I was later planning on putting on my mannequin, as I so often do, designing on the mannequin. I was going to put it on my mannequin and design a top that I could wear and sew it together later and then embellish it. Well, what happened is, lo and behold, when I made the fabric, it seemed to be going okay during the weaving. But later, as I washed the fabric, I realized that big runs were happening in the weft, which is the horizontal part of the fabric. I had many, many spots where there were big runs in the fabric, or ripples. And I was so distressed, I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to start all over and get rid of this fabric. And, I just didn't want to have to do that because I was getting close to the time when we were going to attend the cause event. So I started looking at it, and then it occurred to me, wait a minute. I don't have to get rid of this fabric. It's actually perfect for the purpose of embellishment. And that I could use the ripples in the fabric to make it as part of the design element. So I wove in little pieces of thread and yarn and put it on the mannequin and started trying out different kinds of additions that I could do. With lime, I felt navy would go with it, so I started doing all kinds of embellishments on the garment, and as I would get it where I wanted it, as I found a place for all the little add-ins and embellishments, then I would sew them in place. And then also I decided that the neckline was kind of plain, and so so what I did was take a lime and navy a jacket that I had, and I used to wear it at the office, but it was getting threadbare. I decided to cut the collar off of that and sew it onto here, and also the gussets on the side. I needed a little bit more room for, my body, my width, so I decided to add gussets at the side and just add little buttons and different little pieces, and then I decided to knot the sleeves into a fringe. So all in all, I ended up just, taking lemon and making lemonade, or in the case of this particular one, I took a lime and made limeade because it's a lime top. But anyway, I enjoyed the process once I got to realizing how I could embellish it with the very things that I thought originally were flaws. I got very excited and wore it happily to the conference, and I did get to meet Anita Luvera Mayer. And in fact, I got a picture of myself with her, and here is that picture. I have 2 different tank tops that are in progress because we are finally in the hot part of the summer already. We've been getting up into the 90s, and today I think our feel-like temperature is almost 100. So we're starting to get our humidity, and it's starting to definitely be the time of year where tank tops are going to be a really valued item in my wardrobe. So I wanted to show you the first one that I talked about last time. It's called the Knitted Tank Top Pattern, and I'm going to have a link to this. It's Knit Crow Addict is the designer, and so I will again put a link. But this is she calls for a size 5 needle on this, but I ended up going with a 4 for my gauge. And what you're doing, it's a really ingenious pattern. Carolyn and I are both making this, and Judy and several people in my knitting group are actually making this. I used the Hobie cotton silk yarn that I will put a link to. It's the same one that I used for the lavender top I showed last time, except this is in a variegated colorway. So here it is, and it is called It's Hobie's cotton silk print, Friends cotton silk print. And this particular one is the pink colorway, which is number 3. And it kind of reminds me of dentine gum. I mean, some of you may not remember dentine gum, but it's got a lot of red and pink and kind of creamy pink and almost cream in certain parts of it. But this is the upper back. So you start off with your cast on here at the top, and then you expand out. So eventually, this is going to be, you know, your back, front, and then we're going to knit the straps next. They're going to come up from these 2 sides. It's just an ingenious pattern, and it is a free pattern, or you can pay $5 for it if you like. She also has a video that goes along with it, but if you pay $5, you don't have the ads that go along with it. So anyway, I enjoyed this so far. I think it's coming along rather well. The fabric is kind of variegated, and I am a little concerned about how the pooling is going to be once we eventually join up the yarn of the 2 sides and knit them around. I hope it's not going to pool in a weird way, but I will find out. Right now I love the fabric. It feels like I'm getting the right fabric. I did gauge swatches to make sure I was doing the right gauge. So for me, this is going to be a size 4, and we will see how it turns out, but it's going pretty fast. I just started it a few days ago, and already I have the upper back done, and I'm ready to start on the straps. And another tank top I'm working on, this one is a crocheted tank top, and it is the Bagoday Crochet lady. This is not a written out pattern, but it's a tutorial. And it's really easy to do. If you want a mindless crochet, this is it. The fabric is just so soft and amazing. I love it. And this fabric is the True Boo, and I am using 2 of these. This is the True Boo, which is 100% rayon. And I am making it in the silver colorway. I'll tell you what it is here. It's called something like Arnett. But it's called a 3-weight, but I don't think it is. I'm holding 2 of these together. But yeah, True Boo, Lion Brand True Boo, and the color is Silver Argent. Silver Argent. I'm holding 2 together. And on this one, I am using a size wet needle here. I think it's an I. I'm using a size I needle. And the way that you do this is really ingenious. I'll have a link to this because this you can get for free. But what she has you do is it's crocheted vertically. Like the stripes are going to be vertically going down the body. And then you're going to have straps here holding it together. So you're going to make a big rectangle. And so then it's just going to go around the body. So this is the length going down from the top to the bottom there. And it's going to continue to go around the width of your body. And so far this fabric is pretty soft and really very comfortable, and I think it'll be very cool to wear. I may have to wear, though, I think, a camisole or something under it, because it does look like it's going to be pretty airy and see-through. So, it's got a little bit of see-throughness. You can see there. You can see through it. So I definitely will have to wear a camisole beneath it. But I still think it's going to be a fun summer wear. And it's going pretty quickly. I think I already have 14 or 15 inches crocheted, and I don't work on it that much. But it's just one of those mindless crochet projects that really is enjoyable. You can sit and do some TV crocheting. And so if any of you are wanting to make a tank top that is mindless, I would suggest this one. And hopefully I'll let you know how it turns out. I'm just continuing to work on it as I'm also working concurrently with the knitted one. But this is by Bagoday Crochet. Next, I want to talk about an event that happens each year, and it is called Tour de Fleece. And it's going to be happening this year is going to be, it corresponds with the Tour de France, the bicycling event, and that happens in Paris each year. So this one this year is going to go from June 29th to July 21st. So it's about 3 weeks. Runs about 3 weeks. And there is a couple of rest days. I'm not sure what the dates are for the rest days, but if I'm going to have a link for information for you to check on about this Tour de Fleece and to decide if you want to participate or not. But if you want to do it, what your goal is to do some spinning every day. It could be on your drop spindle, it could be on your e-reel, it could be on your spinning wheel, whatever it is that you use to spin with. And you can spin any project you want, or you can randomly each day spin something different. You could spin just from your stash, or you could have a project in mind. It's totally up to you. But I do have a project in mind eventually, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. But the other date I want to mention, if for some reason you are not available from June 29th to the 21st, you don't have to spin every single day either, by the way. Last year, I'd say I spun about half the days and missed about half the days because I had a busy summer. But my friend Carolyn spun quite a bit, and she also got a bunch of yarn spun up, and it looked really good. So I think it's just a good excuse to get yourself in a more regular spinning. And because spinning is so calming, I really enjoy it and look forward every year to Tour de Fleece because it inspires me to spin more than I normally would. My goal myself is going to be to spin ideally 20 minutes a day. Every day I can, I'm going to try to spin except for the rest days. But for you, you can make whatever goal you want, however you want to do it. But I just find it kind of fun and inspiring. And I'm in the EEW team on Ravelry and on Facebook. They have a group for the EEW electric spinners. And I'm mostly going to be spinning, I believe, this year on my Nano 2. Because I happily got it out the other day because my plan for this year for my spinning is to do a Shetland fleece named Espionage, and I'm going to put a picture of it up here. Bob's going to put in a picture. Espionage is a Shetland fleece that I bought back in 2022. I bought it online because I was looking for a brown or black sheep, and I wanted to spin Shetland because I'd done it years before and enjoyed it. And so I bought this fleece sight unseen online and washed it right away, but I didn't get around to spinning it. So I'm very eager to get to that and work on that spinning of that Shetland, because another goal I have is that during Advent this year, I have specific plan that I'm going to make a Shetland shawl. I have never made a Shetland shawl before, and I've admired them for years. I'm not going to make one of those tiny little wedding ring shawls. Some of you may have heard about that. When I say Shetland lace shawl, some people picture that spider thin yarn that makes a very delicate shawl, like for a wedding shawl or a baby's baptismal or christening blanket. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be a regular wearable shawl, very practical, sport weight or DK weight shawl is my goal. And I'm really, really excited, but my goal is to, hopefully by the end of the year, have a beautiful shawl that I have hand spun and knit myself. And so have a beautiful, wonderful, comfortable shawl to keep me warm in the winter next year. Advent is in December. Usually it's those 24 days from December 1st to Christmas. And a lot of people purchase Advent calendars. They purchase yarn from different independent dyers, and they like to open the package each day, and then they have different scraps of different yarns that they eventually make into a project. And some of the vendors will supply you with a shawl project or a sock project or whatever it is that they're intending for you to make with the yarn. But for myself, I have participated in those a couple of times. Actually 3 times. The first time I tried to do it was in 2019. I wanted to make a crochet version of the Leash and Company. They had a Christmas shawl that was made from their advent calendar, but because I didn't get in on buying it in time, I got in on it too late. So I ended up not being able to do the advent shawl itself with the yarn that they had made for it, but I ended up getting a kit later that she had for kind of a smaller version of that shawl. And so here's a picture of that I finished up in 2019. But because I missed out on getting the Advent Club that year, I decided the next year, in 2020, I was going to start planning in the summer, because many of these indie dyers do start putting out information about their Advent calendars in, oh gosh, anywhere from May to June. They start dyeing the yarn during the summer. And so for many of those more popular ones, if you don't sign up by midsummer, you might be out of luck, like I was the year with Leash. So I decided in 2020 that I was going to sign up for the Southern Skeins Club, and I did. And I ended up making, that was one of the first years she did it, I believe. She had at first 10 gram minis. And so those are smaller minis, and I ended up making a hat and a fingerless glove set that was crocheted. And so I like the set. I still wear that set, although I think I've lost one of the mitts, so I'm going to have to find that before next winter. But at any rate, I did enjoy that Advent calendar. And then in the next year, I think it was 2021, I made, it was still at the end of COVID, and it might be that both of these were done in one year in 2020. I'm not really sure. But I also subscribed to the advent of a lady who no longer is an independent dyer, and she is in the UK. She makes beautiful yarns, or did at the time. She no longer dyes yarn, but anyway, I also subscribed to that one, and I made a cardigan sweater, and I paired it with some mohair. I think I used the Knit Picks mohair that I paired with the minis, and hers were 20 gram minis. But at any rate, that was a cardigan that I picked for myself, and it ended up kind of being too big for my taste. So if you are thinking of participating in an Advent, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your comments about what you're thinking of doing, if anything, with Advent, or are you going to be busy making Christmas gifts? I don't know what your plans are, but if you are thinking at all of getting in on one of these Advents, let me know what it is, and you might want to consider ordering pretty soon, because they do start running out of spots. They only have so many spots. So let me know about your thoughts on that and what you're planning on doing. But for mine this year, what I'm going to be doing is taking the yarn that I've spun during Tour de Fleece, the Shetland yarn, and it's going to be a 2-ply yarn in natural colors, I believe. I'm just going to use the natural. Shetland comes in many different colors, and I'm going to be taking the fleece that I have purchased and then supplementing it with some other Shetland fibers that I have, and I'm going to just be making this into a shawl eventually. That's what it's going to become. But I'm going to be using each day some of the fiber that I've spun into yarn. So I think it's going to end up making a very special project, and I'm going to have a wonderful gift for myself by the end of the season. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Well, next I'm going to show you the results. The only finished object I have this time to show you is the Inkle Loom weaving project that I started way back at the end of April when I was learning to do the Inkle Loom. My friend Carolyn helped me get started and helped me plan out what I was going to do in terms of making a leash for Walter. And so I've been working on that very slowly but surely for many weeks, and kind of let it sit around and languish for a while, but I finally decided to get it finished up, and I'm going to show you now the process of taking it off the loom and turning it into a leash. So here we go. Today we have finally finished our Inkle Loom leash that we're making for Walter. And I've been working on this off and on for several weeks, but we're finally at the point. If you look here, we have these little beginning strings where we started the project. And I have the heddles that I don't want to cut because I'm going to keep those. Those are what help it go up and down as I was weaving. So I want to cut right about here. And I'm going to do that right now to cut it off the loom. So hold on 1 minute. You can watch me. I'll cut. This is the left string, which is the part I've been weaving with. Now we're going to just cut right here, straight across. Later I will reuse these heddles, but right now I'm just going to take this off, and I will then cut at this end as well, just leaving a little bit of room. I don't want to get the knots into it. I don't have that much room. So this is the length we have. I haven't measured, I don't have a measuring tape here, but what I needed was enough to make a leash for him, and I need a few extra little inches for a handle. So I'm going to have plenty to do this. I might even have enough for a collar, I'm not sure, but I definitely have enough for the leash. And I want to do a similar arrangement where I have a handle and then on the other end the clip. So I bought a dollar store, just a dollar store leash that has the hardware that I need. I'm going to cut this off. And of course I won't use the actual leash itself. Oops. And we'll try to see it. There, I've got my glasses. Okay. So what we're going to do is to cut off the part that I need, the hardware here. This is the piece I need. And what I'm going to have to do first is to sew down these edges so they don't keep fraying. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to be attaching this. So you can watch me real quickly. You could do this by hand as well. You could sew by hand, but since I do have a sewing machine, I'm going to do it. And I have matching thread. I have black top thread and white bottom thread. So I'm just going to go over this and go backwards. Oops. Just a minute, I got it off the... And then go forward again. Just want to make sure it's good and anchored. And I'll do one more time back. Okay. So that's on one end. That's the end I was worried about. Now I'm going to just cut off these extra fringes here. Get them a little closer. So that I can, oh, there it is. Go through here and sew this down. So now I've gotten this through here, and I'm going to sew just like I did to anchor this down here. I'll get out my... I want to make sure you don't sew over that steel part there. That's that hardware. Go back. Go forward. Go back. I'll cut this a little bit closer so there's not quite the excess. Now this won't fray anymore because I have anchored it down. On the other side now, I want to see how long I want to make this. Let's get rid of this. This is just like the perfect leash size for him. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a handle here. will fit comfortably into my hand or Bob's. And I'm going to sew this down now so that I have this handle. And this will be a double thickness, so your sewing machine might labor a little bit. And you can do this with hand sewing as well. I just think it's a little bit sturdier and easier with the machine. Now I'm going to go forward and backwards. Okay. Cut this. And now, make sure I cut the right end. This little part that's left might be enough to make a collar. I'll let you know later if I end up getting a collar out of that as well. Might be. I have to measure the dog and see how that goes. But right now, we have a completed leash. And look how cool that is. Very simple. So if you've ever tried Inkle Loom weaving, this you too can make your dog or cat or animal a leash. Well, once again, it's time to wrap up. I hope next time that I will have gotten farther along with the 2 tank tops, and who knows, maybe even finished one of them. I'm not sure what it will take to finish those, but I'm definitely eager to wear those tank tops, and I hope to know what you are making this summer. Are you making some nice light knits, or are you working on socks or some other project, or what are you doing? Are you busy with vacationing and other things this summer? I would love to hear what you're doing. But at any rate, whatever you do, love what you're making and wear what you make. Bye, everybody.